Hello, hello, and welcome to the Rustic Songbird Podcast. I'm your host, Lydia Walker, and you're listening to episode number 95. In today's show, it's a solo episode, just you and me, and I'm going to teach you 5 ways that you can make songwriting a habit. While you may agree that being consistent as a writer and getting the practice in will help you get better over time, it's easier said than done, am I right? So today, I'm going to break down some small shifts that you can make right away to add songwriting into your routine. Are you ready? Let's get started. First, I want to thank you for listening to the Rustic Songbird Podcast. It means the world to have you here, and I hope that you subscribe so you won't miss an episode. We've got some amazing guests coming up on this show, as well as awesome topics. So if you're an independent musician who wants to learn about writing, recording, releasing, and promoting your own music, you are in the right place. We are starting something this month where I will be doing a solo episode, the last episode of the month. So the last Monday of the month, it'll be me and you just like this. We're going to talk about 4 different topics and rotate through songwriting. Then the next month we'll be recording. Then the next month we'll be releasing your music. And the next month we'll be promoting your music. And then back again through those 4 topics. So I'm really excited to get more specific on this show. And I want to hear from you about what topics you're interested in learning. What questions do you have? So feel free to send me a message on Instagram at @LydiaWalker and let me know which topics you're interested in learning about so I can make this the most relevant that it can be for you. So in today's show, I'm going to talk about 5 ways to make songwriting a habit. Make it something that is just a part of who you are. It's a part of what you do. And these are 5 things that have helped me to put songwriting into my routine. So if you want to learn pro tips for how to make the songwriting process easier, if you struggle with having a ton of ideas and then sometimes you go blank when you actually sit down to write a song, then this episode is for you. Here are some quick tips to keep in mind to help you keep those song ideas organized so you don't forget them, and it will make that songwriting process so much easier when you put these simple habits into place. Okay, are you subscribed? Hit that subscribe button. We're gonna get right into these 5 ways to make songwriting a habit. The first tip that I have for you is to use voice memos on your phone. If you have a smartphone, if you have an iPhone with voice memos or a voice recorder of any kind, this is a great way to capture those ideas when they come so you don't forget them. I have lots of little ideas on my voice memos of maybe just a melody or a line, a lyric, maybe a verse or a chorus or a quick demo of a song when I don't have time to just sit down and do a full write and write out all my thoughts. Like I might just have an idea if I'm out for a walk or a drive or doing laundry or something and I just need to capture it really quickly, I use voice memos. And then the great thing about that is when you do have time set aside, we're going to talk about that, when you have time to write, you can go back through those voice memos and hear those ideas and then flesh them out later. So capturing the ideas before they go away is so important. You don't want to forget that melody or that lyric, so capturing them on the go is a great way to use your voice memos and not lose any great ideas. The second way to make songwriting a habit is to have a designated notebook for your songwriting. It really helps to stay organized with your songs, to have them all in one place, and it just helps you take your writing more seriously. I feel like this shifted my mindset on songwriting because before I would have lots of different notebooks. I'd have my to-do list on one page, I'd have some song ideas on another page, and it was just really jumbled and not organized. And this just was a mental click for me when I got a songwriting notebook, or maybe it's a songwriting journal where it's only lyrics, or you only use this with your co-writes or when you're songwriting, and then that makes you more organized because you know where all of your lyrics are, but it also helps you to take yourself seriously as a writer, to say, I am a songwriter and I am serious about this because I have a designated songwriting notebook. This is where all my ideas live, this is where my lyrics are, and I think that really made a big difference. And it's a small thing. I mean, you can get a notebook for very cheap. It can be just a lined college ruled notebook. It does not have to be anything fancy. It doesn't have to be like a leather bound journal, but if that's for you, go for it. If you want it to be sparkly or bedazzled or whatever, just have something that's set aside only for songwriting and help yourself to take your songwriting more seriously by saying, I'm a writer and this is my songwriting notebook. So that's my second way to make it a habit, is to have something designated just for that. The third way for you to make songwriting a habit is to listen for lyric ideas in phrases from conversations. Make it a habit to always be on the lookout for song ideas, and then write down the ones that make you feel something. Then when you're ready to sit down and write a song, you'll have a bunch of good starts to choose from. This is amazing because this is going to eliminate sitting down and having a blinking cursor on your document, or having a blank page and not knowing what to write, or sitting down and finally having the time set aside to write and then forgetting what all of those ideas were. So the voice memos, going back to the first way to make it a habit, using your voice memos, going back to that, is really helpful. But also just listening for ideas, collecting little things, phrases, writing them down when you think of them is going to help you when you sit down for a write. You can draw from all of those song starts. So that's what I want you to do, is start listening and making it a habit to be on the lookout for those song ideas. The fourth way that you can make songwriting a habit is to keep a running Google Doc or a Word document or a running list, maybe in the notes of your phone, but I like Google Docs and it's free. Gmail accounts are free, so if you've got a Google account already, you can go to docs.google.com, have a running Google Doc with potential song titles or writing prompts to spark inspiration when you feel stuck or need something fresh. So when that inspiration does hit, keep writing. Write all of your ideas out, even if it's not the same song. Lots of title ideas, lots of song topics or writing prompt, like, oh, I want to write a song about this situation, or I want to write a song about how I feel about this, or oh, this would be a great title for a song. And when those things hit, I mean, it kind of comes in waves, doesn't it? It ebbs and flows. Sometimes we have those creative juices just flowing, and sometimes it just seems empty or stagnant. So when it is flowing, that's when we need to have a running Google Doc where we can just jot it down, put it there, and so we have it all in one place. It might be in your songwriting notebook. You could designate a page for title ideas, or designate a page for just brain dumping and putting all your ideas in one place. So the fifth way that I want to share that will really take your songwriting seriously and to the next level is to schedule a regular time to write. It can be by yourself or a co-write with someone else, but having a specific time blocked off on your calendar makes it way more likely for it to actually happen. I like to say, if it's not on the calendar, it's not happening. And you may have heard me say that several times on this podcast in interviews with people, and it keeps coming up because I really believe that when you block off the time, it's way more likely to actually happen. Personally, I love to co-write, whether it's a Zoom co-write or FaceTime, or whether it's in person, or even if you're just blocking off time and saying, okay, for this 2 hours or this hour and a half, I'm going to be designating my time to write. So you sit down, you have your songwriting notebook, you've got your running Google Doc, you get your pen and your paper, or whatever works best for you. You get your coffee, drink some water. Like, when you're designated for that special time, that is your songwriting time, and you need to safeguard that. You need to block it off and say, I'm not going to get distracted. I'm not going to be checking my email or seeing how many likes are on my Instagram post. No, that is songwriting time. You need to keep it sacred. And I heard a quote that said, show me your calendar and I'll show you if you're a writer. Or show me your calendar and I'll know if you're a writer. Are there co-writes on your schedule? Are there writing times? Carve out something that works for you, whether it's once a week, whether it's once a month. The frequency doesn't matter as much as keeping the promise to yourself and saying, at this time, I'm going to dedicate this time to my craft, to write. And another thing is, you can give yourself some grace. You can set out a goal to write every week, but if it doesn't happen every week, that's fine. Just go for the next week. And things happen, and scheduling changes happen. But don't think, oh, I'm not a writer. Because if you have the ideas and you are a writer, it's going to happen. But having this structure just keeps yourself accountable, and it proves to yourself that you can keep a meeting with yourself, that you can keep a meeting with a co-writer, and having that practice is going to make songwriting a habit. So these ways that I'm showing you are just simple things that you can tweak. And they're basically free. I mean, you might pay 50 cents for a notebook, or you might have to put out a little bit of money to drive and go somewhere to do a co-write. But a lot of these things you can just do for free. It's a big part of keeping yourself accountable by blocking off the time. I think that is so important, and time is so precious, so we need to make it count. And these are 5 ways that have helped me to make songwriting a habit. And I call myself a songwriter, but I don't pressure myself to have to write a full song every day, because I'm a mom and my life gets busy, and I do get song ideas a lot, and I'll just jot them down in my songwriting notebook or on a voice memo. And then when I do get that co-writing time, then I pull those song starts out and I go from there. Or I wait until inspiration hits and then I finish a song. So there's a lot of grace for that. But I want you to just get started on the path. If you have been holding back and waiting for the perfect time or waiting for the perfectly structured schedule, we're creative people and we need some grace for when plans change and when they don't happen like we want them to. But it's okay. If you're a writer, you're gonna write. And another thing I wanted to say, just kind of a side note, is you're just going to get better and better at songwriting. So as you make it a habit, as you write more, your songs are going to get better. There's no way that they won't get better if you keep practicing. So if you can write a song every day, that's amazing. My friend Grace Askew, who's been on the show before, has done a songwriting challenge where she challenged herself to write a song every day for a year. And that's been amazing. If you want to go follow her, see what all she's done, that has improved her growth and her songwriting skills. And she has so much in her repertoire now to pick songs from those group of songs that she wrote every day. And I just admire her so much for doing that. So if that's something you want to do to challenge yourself, say I'm going to write every day, or pick a time and say I'm going to co-write every Tuesday from 10 to 1, or I'm going to do a co-write once a month and then write on my own once a week. Whatever that looks like for you, set aside that time, block it off on your calendar, make it a habit. I believe in you, and I think that there are amazing things to come from you, so don't be the one to hold yourself back. Make songwriting a habit. Tweak these little things in your routine and in your schedule to make it happen. You've got this. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope that this sparked something in you. I would love to hear your ideas, your feedback, what you'd like to learn about songwriting, recording, releasing your own music, promoting it once it's out into the world. So definitely send me a message on Instagram and let me know your questions. I would love to talk with you and hear your ideas for the show as well as we move forward with these topics. I can't wait to hear from you. So send me a message at the Lydia Walker. You can also check out the whole archive of this podcast, get on our email list, become a patron of this show by going to rusticsongbird.com/podcast. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything, and I'll catch you next time on the Rustic Songbird Podcast.